Assemblymember Arnold, I know that this motion is very, very well intentioned, and I know you are the chair of the education panel. I've worked with you on this and many other issues over 4 years. However, I need to say on the issue of mental health, it's become very much a buzzword over the last few years, something we need to help mental health. But we need to look more closely as to what that actually means. When I was looking at these motions today, I looked at the Department for Education, the latest guidance on mental health, and it actually gives suggestions to schools as to there being 7 different categories of mental health. I'll read them in reverse order. Other mental health problems like eating disorders, habit disorders, somatic disorders, and psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia. We can all agree that those are real mental health problems and issues and conditions that need help. Then we have trauma disorders such as post-traumatic stress disorder. Again, I think we can all agree that's something that really is a deep issue and condition that needs help, as is attachment disorders. Children who are markedly distressed or socially impaired as a result of an extremely abnormal pattern of attachment to carers or major caregivers. Then we have developmental disorders, for example, delay in acquiring certain skills such as speech, social ability or bladder control, primarily affecting children with autism. Well, I think we would all agree that people with autism have special needs, they get support from special educational needs. Then we go on to hyperkinetic disorders, for example, disturbance of activity and attention. That may not be a mental health issue. It may be, it may not be. I worry about this because sometimes, particularly boys, get diagnosed with a mental health condition when they're simply just being themselves and they're expressing the energy that they have. So we need to be careful that we don't diagnose people and actually put people in a box and say you've got a mental health condition when they haven't. Then we have emotional disorders, and it gives their examples: phobias, anxiety states, and depression. Now that may be a mental health condition, but it may just be a mood. It may just be normal human experience. And we need to make sure that we don't medicalise and pathologise these things. But the one I really have an issue with, and I certainly don't agree, is when it starts talking about conduct disorders. For example, stealing, defiance, fire-setting, aggression, and antisocial behaviour. Now, those are not mental health issues. They are bad behaviours. And we need to accept that some of these things which are now being pathologised are simply bad behaviour. And children need to be told this is good behaviour and that is bad behaviour, and they need to be taught what is bad behaviour, and they do need to be punished if they engage in bad behaviour. And if they continue to behave in bad behaviour and bad ways, they do need to be excluded from school for the sake of the majority of people who don't behave in bad ways. So it's wrong, I think, to medicalise conduct disorders. And that's what is now considered the advice. I don't agree with that. And I think the majority of people in the country wouldn't agree with that. So the problem I do have with this motion is that it talks about giving support to people with mental health problems, absolutely. But when children need to be corrected, and when they need to be excluded from school for the sake of the majority, so that the majority are not adversely affected by 1 or 2 people who engage in bad behaviour, we need to have that option. And that's why I can't agree with this motion. It's a very, very long motion. If it was shorter and simpler, I may have agreed with it. But we do need to look into these things. And we do need to consider all of these things on their own merit.
Thank you very much.